Thank you, Angela, and greetings to everyone, Bishop Morlino, brother priests, our distinguished guests. And as they said, I'm the Director of Vocations for the Diocese of Madison, which means I'm the Director of Happiness for the Diocese of Madison. It's a big job, but somebody's got to do it. And tonight I can tell you, Annuncio vobis gaudium magnum, I bring you news of great joy. This is what I tell our seminarians every time I write them an email about a new man joining the seminarian ranks. The subject line says, Annuncio vobis gaudium magnum. I bring you news of great joy. We have a new seminarian just today, Bill Van Wagner. And he's going to be a college seminarian. He went through the screening today. We talked to Bishop Morlino tonight. He approved. I called Bill, so he does know before you know, which is very important. And so I did call him Bishop. And so it's great news, but it's indicative of wider, joyful news. And that is that we're seeing the younger men, in my case men, you know I work mainly with men, but I think women too, younger men responding to the call for vocations to priesthood. Here we are in an old high school seminary building, and what we're looking at is this younger age group responding in a significant way. In the mid-90s, when I was going to seminary, the trend was to look at these older, maybe older, younger, whatever, these professionals, maybe a little world-weary with life, looking for a deeper meaning. We still have that, where they end up looking at the seminary. But then in this decade, it shifted, and across the country we're seeing younger men responding. So we have, from St. Ambrose already, Ben Emmel and Andy Teeter, who are already in the seminary, in college seminary. And now we have, from Edgewood, we've got Matthew Schumacher and now Bill Van Wagner. So we're seeing this trend in our diocese, and it's very hopeful. So who now, thank you. So who now is on the front line of vocation work? Places like St. Ambrose Academy, where they are forming those future priests, those future married persons, consecrated women. We're seeing that trend, and we're seeing it very strong with St. Ambrose Academy, and I'm sure with other academies around the country that are very much like St. Ambrose. So I think you can kind of call it, at least I call it that, being Director of Vocations, an Academy of Vocations. And there's a number of reasons for that. The first is it almost acts like a pre-seminary. And I want to explain that a little bit, because everybody needs that kind of formation even before seminary, a pre-seminary or pre-novitiate, if you will. Now I'm going to just change course here for a little bit. I drive with Bishop Morlino a lot. As we travel, as you know, I'm his MC, and we travel. So everything we talk about in the car is always confidential, of course. But I will let you in on one little secret. Now, Bishop has said this other places, so I'm free to tell it. Bishop Morlino had his pre-seminary, his grandmother. Because he will often tell me, and he's told a number of you this too, when he would go through seminary, go through theology, he would test everything against what his grandmother would have taught him. And he would know if something didn't sound quite right, it was because his grandmother would not have okayed that. And so he had, in his own way, that pre-seminary, and he'd be the first one to admit it. I had my pre-seminary. I'm going to embarrass Monsignor Holmes a little bit here. I was in law school at the time at UW-Madison, and I would walk down Bascom Hill, having gone out of the fire hydrant of legal cases and opinions coming at me from law school each day. I would go down on Thursday nights and go to Holy Redeemer, to the freight train of truth, Monsignor Holmes teaching the Thursday night catechism class. And I admit that as I went through seminary, I always thought back, does that match what I learned in pre-seminary with Monsignor Holmes at Holy Redeemer? Now we go to St. Ambrose. Ben Emmel, Andy Teeter. I am sure that when they're in the seminary, they look back and they think about what they learned at St. Ambrose and they test things against it. There's a saying that major seminary makes the priest, college seminary makes the man, but I would say pre-seminary makes the Catholic. And that's what St. Ambrose does. So it's this foundational thing that I think all of us need, from Bishop, me, Ben Emmel, Andy Teeter, and so on. Now, why is that? I think they get that formation. I can tell you this, too, as a director of vocations. Ben and Andy are low maintenance. And that should tell you something. They're preformed in a certain way. When they go in, they don't really miss a beat. And I know for the rectors, it makes it very easy, because they come in and they've already kind of been through a formation program, kind of a Catholic formation program that does everything: the academics, the spiritual, the religious regiment, the sacraments, all of those things. So I watch them very closely. You know, some of our other guys are very good, zealous and everything, but it's going to take them a little more time if they didn't have it, which is a little bit like me in a certain way. I didn't have a Catholic education in school. So they come in and they're very well formed. And like I said, low maintenance. So we're very happy to have them. And I'm sure there will be many more. They're really the future of the diocese in so many ways. I guess the last thing I'd say on that is that what I find with St. Ambrose is they prepare them for a professional career in a very good way with the academics and so on. But they're also helping them to find their happiness in their vocation. And they form them so that they can move very quickly forward into that. So I'm very grateful for them. It's not only college prep, it's holiness prep. And that's something we very much need in Catholic schools. I'll kind of finish up with a little parable of the sower. You know, in today's day and age, the Lord's work is very much the parable of the sower. You know, he sows the seed on the path, the rocky ground, among the thorns, on the fertile soil. And on the path, I think, is where most of our young people are today, that it's so easy to have their faith snatched away from them. And I think that's what's typical in today's day and age for our young people. The rocky ground is that where, of course, the seed is quickly sprouts but doesn't have roots, and therefore it fails. And I think that's what we're getting lots of times in education today, where none of it is linked to truth itself, which is Jesus Christ. And so somehow they sprout, but there are no roots, and that dies. Finally, the thorns is where the seed goes there, the thorns grow up, and they choke it, and it doesn't grow. And I think it's a state of moral education today, where somebody might have a good foundation, but then the temptation and all the things of the world, especially going to college, chokes away any faith that they had. Then there's the fertile soil that bears fruit 160 or 30-fold. That's the education of a St. Ambrose, where preparation for the world is matched by preparation for heaven. It's what we would call, you know, it's very fortuitous. We have the Holy Father who wrote Caritas in Veritate, charity in truth. That, I think, that balance between those two things is what we see at St. Ambrose. Charity and truth bonded together very well. It allows, I think, the student to say at the end of their time there, according to the ever-wise, ever-intelligent, ever-holy, Blessed Virgin Mary, Ecce Angela Domini fiat mihi secundum verbum tuum. Behold, the handmaid of the Lord, may it be done to me according to thy word. Thank you very much for letting me speak today on vocations. I'm always happy to do it. And thank you very much to St. Ambrose